It's okay. We're just talking about the Rangers and the sports.
They can hear our sports talk.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. That's my son at the Rangers game on Sunday night.
Nice.
That's my son. That's his friend. Like, they got on the scoreboard.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, at the Garden, he got up on the big. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Great. Perfect.
That's barely. Steve,
Go ahead, Michael. How are you? Sorry.
this is in this month's
No.
magazine.
I haven't.
No, there's not.
But just, it was nice to see at least them commenting on housing and his, if the next page, and I haven't heard anything just about the other page where I circle the other side. Very interesting that I had not heard anything about that. But it's good that that's what's on people's minds. You got to have say something about it, right? What are we doing here?
No, I seen him drive away like 6 minutes ago. He said he'd be back in 5 minutes.
Anything further?
Yeah, that was the same. Joel's quite right now. You're right that HUB is the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also
Yeah. That doesn't seem as cool.
Excuse me, gentlemen, whenever you're ready. You want to hear?
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
He's here.
Welcome, Councilman Gall.
Yeah, welcome, Mayor.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting for the Oradell Mayor and Council for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 to order. Notice this meeting was published in the official newspapers and prominently posted in Borough Hall and filed with the municipal clerk in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. Pledge of Allegiance, we can do Councilman Kelly.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a roll call, please, Laura?
Sure. Mayor Koth,
Here.
Mr. Carnival,
Here.
Mr. Staff,
Here.
Mr. Tashian,
Here.
Mr. Kern,
Here.
Mr. Gullo,
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Okay, so first item of business is we're going to swear in our new Special 3 law enforcement officer who's going to be assigned to Bergen Catholic, Mark Miskovitz. If we can come to the front.
Does your wife want to hold the Bible?
Okay. Oh, and the chief's here. Welcome, Chief. Okay. If you, how do we want to do this? You're going to raise your right hand, so you're right. Left hand on the Bible, and you can repeat after me. I, Mark Miskovitz, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 3
Special Law Enforcement Class 3
with the Oradell Police Department,
with the Oradell Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mark, congratulations and welcome. Yeah, why don't you do a picture?
Congrats. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Just do a quick picture. Okay. So next item on the agenda for discussion, Oradell Arts and Cultural Council. Tom, I think this was yours, right?
It was, yes, Mayor.
And if we can distinguish between this when we talk about the Arts and Business Coalition and how this may play with or replace, if you can touch on that, that would be helpful in what you'd like to do.
Sure. Just to start, it really came out of, and how I got involved was, I'm going to say, and Margaret DiNicola is here tonight, but I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago, I believe we applied for a grant to have the Arts Festival. We've had just a wonderful event the last number of years, a great community event, maybe the best community event I've been involved with. With that, just my recent time on the council, we applied for a grant early this spring. We didn't win it, but I engaged with local businesses, various in the arts, music, dance, pottery, crafts, et cetera, I've also recently worked with, and as we all have, enjoyed Bergen County, the theater here, Bergen County Players, and the school, and the concerts. So I think you referenced the past, the Arts and Business Coalition. I was not involved with that, and I'm going to say that was, I did chat with former Councilwoman Hara, who I believe was very involved with that. I believe that's been defunct now for 10 plus years. I'm not exactly sure, but I just think we do have a lot of, as we all know, creative people, artistic people in this town. This would help. We're in the process of applying once again for an arts festival for 2026. We have a group of, we basically have that committee already. We're functioning as a borough committee without the borough kind of formal stamp of approval. So we do have a pretty much in place committee that is ready to go, and with bylaws, et cetera, having the borough officially stamp it would help in applying for grants and borough resources. Again, the police and DPW have been extremely helpful, but I think it's something that we just had we had a music festival at the senior center 2 weeks ago, full house. I think all of those things on a regular basis, this town would enjoy, would love, and I think it's extremely necessary that we have that, and we have it in place. We have dedicated people that are all for it. And yes, arts and business, it'll help all of that, all of those types of things. As you can imagine, And Margaret, I don't know if Margaret, if you'd like to step up and say a few words, but that's really it, Mayor. It's really that, just to engage our residents. We have passionate residents that want to foster the arts and culture, and this would be a vehicle to get that done.
Do you have questions?
Mayor, I just have a question, or Tom as well. One of the things I was thinking about is, yes, arts and cultural and music, and this festival has been successful the last 2 years I've been on council. I was under the impression, and I mean, certainly this is just being brought up for discussion, is I thought we were going to expand this out to really more special events and to encompass things that attract all constituents in town. So it could be art specific, it could be music specific. We just hosted a very successful Fall Fest. There's other things. So I guess before we make a decision to hardwire something very specific, I'd like to be, give us an opportunity as a council to talk about broadly. I just don't want to be very specific on something. And I'm thinking about it from a committee, Tom, so there could be representation, and you could have subcommittees that focus on the arts festival and whatnot. And I'm open to the idea. I don't want to limit it just to arts, because I feel like there's more to it. And there's families, and they like specific programming. We have a very successful concert series that we host in the summer. So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that is good, right? And it's all good for our community. So in terms of special events, sure, any assistance that we've had that we can have in the future going forward, we're all ears. So if that's the same committee, I don't know what that is, but why not, just to really focus on special events, I would think, again, and we could talk more about it, but that gets involved to, I would think, parades and 4th of July and Family Day, et cetera, where if this committees, certainly we can have crossover, I think, in reality, but I think, as I just mentioned, those areas, the Arts Festival, I would think would be the main event, but, again, dance, whatever, any art, painting, that type of thing, I don't know if that necessarily goes under special events, but having opportunities for our residents to have a paint class or an art class or a dance class or a singing class for whether it's seniors and that also could fall under seniors, so we're all kind of working in this together, but to have and maybe this committee could report up to recreation or special, just to have a chain of command, that would be fine, but I would think have this committee tasked with those types of things which are different, as I see it, than special events would be that 1 or 2, or 3 or 6 big days. This would be an ongoing fostering and networking, again, with the schools, with our local businesses. I just think there's a big untapped market and universe of residents out there, from little kids to seniors, that we could help. So that's really it, and grants and things like that.
So my take is that you guys are talking about different things that do have similar synergies, right, at times. So I don't think what Tom's trying to explain is all special events, and we don't want to create a separate committee that dabbles in special events. But I think there are scenarios where if we wanted to incorporate public art in places in town, we've had a former resident come wanting to undertake the commissioning of some type of a sculpture for Sherrod Park that speaks to Wally Schirra, historically proper. We have no place for that really to go. So something like that, there was an art project done on the pavement, whatever the opinions are of it, that be as it may. I think the more artistic sides of things, Tom, is where the root of your inquiry comes. Yes. And that seems to have something that's been filled by what was and may no longer be the Arts and Business Coalition, but is a very dedicated group of volunteers. I think what we need to do just is boil down on paper really more what the mission of that group would be, Tom, and how they would work with other committees in synergy so that we don't have duplication of resources when it comes to things like events. So, committees can kind of work hand in hand if we have a special event that's geared more towards arts and things. But there's also grants that the committee can then qualify for that we wouldn't separately. So I think we just need to really look at it in more detail and boil a proposal down onto paper that specifically says how it's going to fit within our existing framework and not have any duplication, but be complementary.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, as you see it at Family Day or 4th of July, I would think we would work with, if it's special events or rec, to have, if they need resources for programming, that there's some really talented people. I just happened to mention it to the woman at the Bergen County Players, and they all of those resources are there, and they would love to help out. And but yeah, that we can help the borough make those, certainly report up to special events or rec. That certainly we don't want to duplicate anything, but I think that'll just broaden what we can offer to our residents, without a doubt, on an ongoing basis. I think it'd be an absolute home run.
So the first of the year is coming up, the time when we normally appoint committees. So let's try and boil something down between now and then so that we can harness the opportunity if it presents itself in that way.
Yeah, so maybe in the meantime, there are, and I'm not exactly sure, but I believe there's talent. We can kind of draft a mission state template and bring it to this.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
We discussed that and go from there, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you want to put that together, we can distribute it to the council
You got
and go
it.
from there.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah.
Next up, banking RFP.
So
Hines, this is still you, Tom? Banking
I don't know.
RFP?
Yeah, I mean, I just, and Mr. Hines, certainly I don't want to steal your thunder, but certainly it's just good big business practice. Again, we bank it. I'm sure you, like everybody else, I get 7 things in the mail every day for banking, and it's a competitive business. So just good business practices to see what's out there. I did reach out to, as I know the administrator did, to a couple of banks. They, the answer, they were looking for some information, and that, I guess, we need to officially give the blessing that we are in the market. That doesn't mean anything has to happen, or it will happen, but we're just seeing what's out there in that landscape. If that's correct, Mr. Administrator? Yeah, correct me. That's really the ask.
So is everybody comfortable having the administrator work together with the staff to draft an RFP? And I would say you guys should think about collectively and let Ed or I know if there are other services you want an RFP for going forward, 2026, please get those into Ed so we can consider them at a future meeting and discuss them and get it, the RFP authorized, because this is the time of the year that we should be doing this on the services we want to RFP.
And can you just educate me on what does that mean, or what's that process? Before anything happens, everything has to be blessed here, and then we can go out and publicize it, or we have to, and everyone needs to get a shot. And
so the next meeting, we can have a resolution authorizing the staff to issue an RFP for banking services. That will go out. The QPA will sign off on the RFP document that goes out. It's just like a bid for any other service. So go to any financial institution.
So we send it out.
Yes.
Okay.
They have
formally.
They have to respond to
and
it.
And then they respond. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And just, the mayor and council will be able to see the rates, the banking rates currently in the market once we receive the answers to those RFPs. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think what happens is the CFO, Administrator, Finance Committee would prepare a summary for the council with their recommendation based on the responses we received.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I think as the administrator and the CFO and I have chatted, I mean, the main thing I think is to make their jobs easier also. They're comfortable, and we could discuss that as we go forward, but certainly we don't want to upset anybody's apple cart for the sake of that. So, but
Okay.
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Very good. Next up on the agenda, Mr. Bailey. You're going to make a presentation to us about joint land use boards?
Yes, sir, with the very able assistance of Mr. Liebman, who's joined us this evening. Mark Liebman happens to be our zoning board attorney, but also very well versed and experienced in land use. But in particular, he's been through the process of other municipalities in Bergen County and maybe elsewhere, for all I know, where they did in fact merge the zoning board and land use and the planning board. Pursuant to the municipal land use law, which is kind of the enabling legislation that oversees zoning and planning and land use in general, there is provisions where a municipality can, for lack of a better word, merge the two boards. Once merged, they're technically a planning board. So it's a joint land use board, but it really is a planning board. So the appointment process, for example, remains the same as regular planning board appointments, which is mainly the mayor, certain classes for council liaison, and others. Under the statute, if the population of the municipality is under 15,000, which we are, an ordinance can be drafted and adopted to authorize a joint land use board. Over 15,000 actually has to go to referendum. But I would just, if I could turn it over to Mark, because he can give us kind of some of his insights and experiences in the good, bad, and indifferent in terms of the benefits of having a joint land use board and if there's any downside as well.
Right. Yeah, and just to share, as Mr. Liebman comes up, we have Chris Centaniello, who's the chair of the zoning board, with us tonight. Mr. Flegging, who's the chair of the planning board, was also invited but was unable to be here this evening. So, Chris, what maybe is a shock is a fact-finding expedition tonight. So we're all in this together here.
All good.
Welcome.
It's very nice to meet you all. My name is Mark Liebman. I was engaged to serve as your zoning board attorney, but because I have a conflict on the same night, my colleague Danielle Federico has been serving in that capacity. I am currently representing 4 or 5 other zoning and planning boards in Bergen County. I've been doing this kind of work for about 25 years. I'm with a firm based in Roseland. We have 8 or 9 lawyers who practice nothing but zoning and planning. It's all we do. I can tell you maybe 15, 17 years ago, I was the Dumont zoning board attorney and their planning board attorney. Both boards like to meet twice a month. I was in Dumont every week. The meetings were 20 minutes long, and then we would go out drinking afterwards. There was not a lot of business getting done, but we had a lot of fun. And I thought, this is like really silly. We are just wasting so much time having these short meetings. You should consider merging the boards. Dumont was over 15,000 people. They had a referendum. They elected to merge the boards. It worked out very well. Planning boards primarily are occupying themselves supposedly with subdivisions and site plans. When you have fully built out communities like we have a lot of in Bergen County, nobody's subdividing any property in Dumont. The lots are small enough. If your planning board is busy with subdivisions, then it may make more sense to keep them separate. And as the boards in these fully built out communities have less and less to do, it makes sense to merge them. There are some cost savings that can be achieved because you only have to have 1 meeting a month. Borough Hall only has to get open once a month. The engineer, attorney, planner, traffic experts, whatever, only have to come once a month. So there are some cost savings that can be achieved. And there's also some efficiencies and some legal reasons to do it. It's rare, but occasionally you get into conflicts of jurisdiction. Does this board, does this application belong at the zoning board or the planning board? There have been instances where boards in the same town are suing each other over jurisdiction. It's ridiculously wasteful litigation. When you have a merged board, you eliminate any chance that that could happen. I'm the zoning board attorney in Fairlawn right now. We had an application that came to us last year. This poor applicant spent a half a year at the planning board trying to get approval before they realized, oh, this should be heard by the zoning board. Just terrible wasted expense. You don't have that problem when you have a merged board. The board will comprise 9 members. When you have a D variance, that's a use variance, a density variance, a height variance of more than 10% or 10 feet. Those are the kind of classic examples. Then the mayor and the council representative are recused from those applications. The board shrinks to 7 members and acts as a pure zoning board of adjustment. I think as you weigh this out, the question I would have is how many applications a year is your planning board hearing? And how many times are they actually getting together? And if they're meeting 6 times, 9 times a year because there's a lack of agenda items, then I think it makes sense to really consider it. I don't know if anybody has the answers to those questions. I'm really kind of curious, like how busy is the planning board?
The planning board is not very busy this calendar year. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in. I mean, I handle the engineering for both boards. I mean, we're not relatively busy at all. I mean, occasionally you get some larger applications, and even your example of going between two boards, we had an application that originally started before the zoning board, and then what transpired during the hearing, the applicant decided to eliminate a height variance and the use variance, which then pushed it to the planning board, which made it very, problematic, because they more or less had to start the application over at that point. So, so in that particular scenario, that would have prevented that whole synopsis from occurring. On the planning board side of things, I think we had that application this year, and there was a lot of like soil movement applications, but I believe the borough's in the process of modifying some of the town ordinance, which will help eliminate some of those applications, because there's a lot of stuff that comes that's very minor. So we're adjusting the criteria to come to the board for that. So all in all, between both boards, they're not overly active. But obviously when we do have an application, it does become a lengthy process. So, yeah.
I'm happy to answer any questions. Everything Mr. Bailey told you about the statute is correct. I also serve as the joint planning board attorney in Rivervale. Those boards were two distinct boards until maybe 5 years ago. And I had represented the planning board there probably for 15 or 20 years before they decided to merge those boards. It was a very smooth merger. It's pretty easy to do. There are mayoral appointments when it's a planning board, and you appoint one member for 1 year. They have to be staggered terms, because you don't want the whole board to turn over. So it gives you kind of an opportunity to create a clean slate.
So how exactly does that transition work? Does the zoning board become dissolved by the ordinance, and then the new joint land use board needs to be wholly reappointed? So all existing terms of members of both boards kind of expire at that point when we form the new board? All new appointments need to be made.
That's correct. And if you have the ability to time it, I would time it so that it coincides with your reorganization for the next year. My colleague Danielle Federico has been covering your zoning board, is the board attorney in Demarest. And Demarest just went through this process recently, and they did not do it at the beginning of the year. So you had people that got appointed to a board in like January, and then in May they were told like, oh, your board has been dissolved. It's just sort of poor planning, in my opinion.
So if we do, join the boards, I guess my question would be, what would be the ideal amount of members for this particular board as a whole? And maybe what are the alternative, memberships as well? How many people for alternative board members should we, have a number in mind?
So by statute, it's got to be 9 members on the planning board, and the statute tells you exactly what the breakout is. So it's the mayor is one of them; he's the Class 1 member. Then you have a council representative. Then you have Class 4 members, and Class 3 members, a municipal official. And you can have up to 4 alternates for the board, and I would recommend that you appoint 4 alternates. Just you never know with people's schedules.
So my issue or concern is potential capacity. Does whatever is going to happen with fair share housing and potential heavy lifting that potentially could go on, I'm going to assume that some of these boards are going to get busy, right? I would think that, as well as periodically, if it's every 3 or 5 years, to review the master plan, which is also a larger undertaking. And then the third would be, kind of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But maybe, Chris, maybe we can speak about maybe it does need they do need some help. But it's really capacity to make sure we have those folks. And I'm assuming if things get busy, then those people may be asked or needed to meet a couple of times a month, or 2, 3, 4. So that having those folks, the stress on that rather than once a month.
Yeah. So pretty much every board that I represent does occasionally have the need for a special meeting. It depends on the ebb and the flow of the application work. But it happens from time to time. Sometimes there's an application that just must be heard. It's not unusual to schedule a special meeting.
Well, if they're wearing two hats, then it's going to be more potential for that.
It may happen, which is why I really, before you make a decision on this, I think you really need to find out how many applications a year your planning board is hearing. How many, has your zoning board average, say, like over the last 3 years? Where I'm the board attorney in Fair Lawn, the zoning board attorney, we're doing about 40 applications a year, and we meet about 12 to 16 times a year. The board does not like to do special meetings, but we do them when we have to. The residents want to be heard. People are putting additions on their homes. They're putting fences up in driveways. People want to get heard. If you're going to volunteer for the board, you need to show up and serve your community.
But can we expect a heavier workload with any potential fair share housing requirements and building requirements going forward?
Sure.
I would assume that's a yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't know where you are in your process with fair share housing. I would imagine you're like almost every other community in Bergen County, that you have a couple major developers chomping at the bit, trying to force you to settle. You're supposed to have ordinances in place by March of next year. Cases are supposed to be settled by the end of the year. I'm involved in a few of these right now. And the way that most of them that I'm seeing resolve are resolving with areas in need of redevelopment, with redevelopment plans that are very specific and tightly control what developers are allowed to build, so that the applications are almost variance-free and they're proceeding at the planning board level. That doesn't mean that you don't have 100 residents coming out with pitchforks and people objecting to it. Those are going to be contentious hearings everywhere, but that's going to be 2 nights, maybe 4 nights. It's not going to be every night for a year. That's where you would say, I would say schedule a special session, possibly in a room with a greater capacity. Bill knows what I'm talking about. We've been to these meetings that you show up and the fire marshal comes and says the meeting's over, everybody leave, and you reconvene a month later, in a school gymnasium.
Can I chime in on the?
Yeah.
You mentioned if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I will say in my time here in Oradell on the boards, this year it's been kind of problematic as far as people attending the meetings, as far as the board members themselves. And we've had probably 2 hearings that, the applicant showed up to do testimony and give their presentation, and we couldn't because we didn't have a quorum. So I think by having, the combined board, that fixes
that's an issue,
problem
certainly.
there. But that's
certainly
just to touch on your, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But
and maybe it is. Yeah.
It's hard to get volunteers.
I'm with you. Yeah, I get you. That's an issue without a doubt. And this will certainly, combining them will help that. Yeah. Chris, yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same concerns. As I can only speak for the zoning board, I honestly don't know how many applications the planning board has had. The zoning board is generally pretty busy. Oradell, like what sets us apart from a lot of the other towns around us, we have ordinances that other towns don't. You can't have a boat in your driveway. You can't, there's the certain setback ordinances. Those ordinances, they keep the town nice, but they generate variances, and that has to go somewhere. So I don't know what I don't know what the impact of that caseload would do to a combined board. The other thing that really concerns me is what you touched on about fair share housing. And I don't know, so maybe you can answer. Do we lose any checks and balances by having a combined board? If a developer wants to build something, maybe it's in line with fair share housing, but maybe it's just too big for Oradell. And in some cases, that is what's happened. The zoning board pushed back, so maybe somebody changed something to get away from the zoning board, get back to the planning board. That's probably my biggest concern, with just a loss of oversight for the really for the best interests of Oradell, the residents. That's it.
Well, I would think that'd be incumbent upon the board members to speak up and obviously voice their concerns, and the public, about if they had those concerns, right? And, whether it's too big or too small.
Yeah, I mean, there's no impact on the fair share litigation.
Yeah.
I think, in terms of policy, it makes things a little bit easier to enforce a consistent policy, so that sometimes in some communities, the planning board might be the easier board, the zoning board may be the harder board. Sometimes applicants, if they're really savvy to those nuances, will kind of forum shop their application to the easier board to get something approved. If you have a merged board also, that's the body that does the master plan. The master plan is required by statute to be redone every 10 years now. And then your planning board, which also serves as your zoning board, is then becomes intimately familiar with the master plan in a way that I sometimes think zoning boards don't get intimately familiar with, because it's a function of the planning board to create the master plan. So when I represent just a pure zoning board, they don't have the same level of intimacy with that document, even though they should. They didn't write it. They didn't attend all the meetings with the planners. They didn't do the public outreach to get it. When the board is combined, I think you have better consistency. That's another reason to consider it.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
Question, what's the percentage of the towns in Bergen County that already have the merged boards?
It's a great question. I don't know. I've got a new associate in my office. I could have him put together a memo.
Sounds like a summer internship project.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. That's a good question.
Because I'd be curious to see what towns are actually going through this process right now, too.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Because it's efficient, so.
Yeah.
Brought up some really good points.
Chris, in response to your comment about, keeping the aura of Oradell, the ordinances aren't changing.
Right.
So whatever the board, new board, old board, they're still going to have to follow the ordinance that exists.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No, and that wasn't my concern that we would lose those rules that kind of keep things nice. My concern is because those rules generate applications, what would that do to a combined? What would be? You'd have a combined board hearing about a horse in somebody's front yard.
Yeah. I get it. But like Steve was saying, we're about to change the ordinance on soil moving, so that's probably the single most one you hear.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are going to go away. So there will be stuff coming off the plate.
And I would note too, I know right now your planning board meets once a month and your zoning board meets once a month. I do work in a town that has a combined land use board. They have it calendared at the beginning of the year to have 2 meetings per month. Do they hold 2 meetings per month? No, just given the volume. But they have them publicized, so they have that ability to have the 2 meetings a month if needed, too. In the event, you have a heavier load of applications and stuff. That's one way, but obviously it does put more burden on the board members themselves. Instead of 1 meeting a month, now it's 2 that they have to go to. But I know in busier towns, even their zoning boards, they have 2 meetings a month, and then sometimes they have to have special meetings. So it's hit or miss depending on where you're at.
But that's a good point, because you don't have to notify anybody about a special meeting if you already have 2 meetings a month on the books already. So.
Yeah. Easier to cancel it than to notice it.
Yeah.
So I serve as the joint land use board attorney in Hillsdale. They merged their boards about 3 years ago. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't change it. They scheduled 2 meetings a month, and I will tell you, maybe 2 months in the last year that we've had 2 meetings. And it's not uncommon for both meetings to be canceled that little activity.
That sounds reasonable. And so the number is 9, and to have a vote, quorum is 5?
So,
Use the microphone.
So with a 9-member board, a quorum is 5.
So you have some leeway. And is that full members, is that alternates, or does that include the alternates?
So if you have 4 alternates and 1 regular member show up, that's 5 members that can vote.
That heard the application, yeah.
And if it's a C variance, a bulk variance, a setback variance, then they need a majority of those people to approve it. If there's a D variance, a height variance, a density variance, a use variance, then the board shrinks to 7 members. And for a D variance, you need 5 members to approve it. You need a supermajority to get that.
5 of the 7.
Right.
Yeah, so that concern, if we have out of the one board that a few people can't make it, we do have some leeway out of that 9, as long as 5 are there, that they can act on an application.
They can act on an application for a C variance, not a D variance.
Not
I mean,
a D.
they could. They could. If I wouldn't, but they could.
Yeah. Okay.
They could, yeah.
Chris, you still, as a board, prepare that year-end summary of the variances that are granted as a tool that I think we try and take a look at the ordinances on the books and figure if we need to make some amendments. The one example I'll give was a case before the board where somebody wanted to have 9-foot ceilings on both floors, but they had to get a variance because our ordinance says you can't have more than 18 feet between the first 2 floors. Well, that doesn't work because construction gives you a foot in the middle for the framing, but they were still under the allowable height of the structure. So that is an example of an ordinance, is like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? You're still under the allowable height. Who cares what the height is, whether they want 10 feet and 7 feet on the first and second floor? It was kind of a stupid ordinance to have on the books.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes, right? But that's where the report, the summary of activity comes in, where, you know, part of this exercise may be looking at some of these ordinances and saying, do these make sense anymore, right?
Some of the
Progressively.
soil.
Yeah.
Right, like the soil.
Yeah.
We do. So this is only my first year as chairman, so I'm not intimately familiar with the process of submitting that. And to be honest, I don't know how involved I would be. But I agree that we do have a lot of really outdated ordinances. It would be nice if we got rid of some of those. Now, I know this is just from talking about it in the past. I know this is a painstaking process to go through them all. But if we were able to filter out some of the outdated things that would generate a variance that in today's world are just not practical, that would help.
Okay.
That would help.
Thank you.
When the board is merged, there's still a requirement, a statutory requirement for an annual report to be provided to the governing body.
Okay.
It's a split board. The zoning board is required to send a copy of that report to the governing body and to the planning board, because then the planning board's supposed to take that when they look at their master plan. When you do the master plan, they should look at the last 10 years of those annual reports so that they can create a theme of, okay, the zoning board in the last 10 years had 100 fence applications on corner properties. They granted 90% of them. Maybe we should think about changing the ordinance on the corner fence. Like, that's the idea of the annual report, that over time it generates information for policy decisions. And sometimes those policy decisions can be made much more quickly. This ordinance that you just talked about, it sounds like a perfect example.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Bill, Ed, maybe we can get from Mr. Depkin sort of a summary on cases to date before each board, so we can look at the volume as we, continue with this discussion and evaluate whether or not this is a direction we should move in.
Sure.
So just final, Mark, in your opinion and your experience, there hasn't been any downside whatsoever. Have you feedback in the towns that have merged?
No, I have not had any negative experiences. It's a little trickier for the lawyers, honestly, because we have to just be very aware when there's a D variance application that comes in to remember to tell the mayor and the council representative, get off the dais and sit in the audience if you want to stick around, because that's really the only wrinkle that we need to be aware of.
Or have any towns done this, combined and then gone back because of bad experiences? Right?
I've never heard of that happening before.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, there are some people in the municipal world that think that more boards, more jobs, more things to give out. I've heard that. That's the only, if you want to call it a plus, that I could think of to have multiple boards.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business. Any old business to come before the council to discuss? There's no old business. Do we have any new business?
I guess, Mayor, in terms of old business, and I've been trading some emails, and we did approve applying for that senior grant to do the basically master plan for our seniors. Do we need a resolution? And I know we were trading some emails today. I spoke to the CFO accepting that grant. That's what there's some, if we do, then if it starts in November,
So
that's the clarity I need to
we
get.
would. I don't know that we know the exact amount yet because they said while you're approved for the grant, we still have to give you all the details and the agreement. I don't know that we've received that yet.
Okay. That's the,
I received a sample chapter 159 from Katie when the details are all finalized to plug it in for the
Yep.
28th, but we still need, I think, some of the.
I only remember seeing the email that said, congratulations, we don't know the exact amount, we'll be in touch once we figure that out.
yeah, I was going back and forth with the grant writer. I believe it's $70,000. That's the only number that I'm familiar with the
I
whole.
think that's what we asked for.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's what's been awarded.
Okay, all right, I'll get some clarity, but I'm pretty sure it's 70. And that's what it was for. But yeah, we'll make sure that if it's, I'll get with the CFO and the grant writer and the team here, right, if we need to get that on next meeting's agenda. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. We have any new business?
Mayor, I have just 2 dates for the DPW. Just reminders that yard waste pickup ends this Thursday, and then the following week starts leaf collection pickup. So if anybody needs to know what their leaf collection schedule is on their block, just sign on to the website and you should see the notification there.
Okay, thank you, John. So I just want to do a little housekeeping recap on the email I sent out this afternoon. Old business and new business about policy issues, right? This is our meeting to discuss policy, to advance issues, to move and act on an ordinance and resolution at the second meeting of the month. This isn't the kind of time where we should be talking about the bingos at 10 o'clock on Thursday. We're picking up leaves starting next week. So just going forward, if we can, because, you know, it's important for us, as painstaking sometimes as it may be, to have these discussions about issues like committees, and are we going to merge a board, or are we going to take action on other things? We want to be transparent in those discussions. That should be the focus of this meeting, aside from taking action like paying bills and approving appointments and other things, so that we can be expeditious in moving forward. So I've been pretty lax with this up until now, but I think that we need to kind of just tighten up as we move forward. And if we can all just kind of calendar those things appropriately, I would be greatly appreciative. Anybody else have other new business before the council? Okay. We're now at public comment. So in public comment, if each speaker will have one turn, not exceed 5 minutes, please identify yourself at the microphone, remain courteous. I'll entertain a motion to open to the public for non-agenda items only.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're open for non-agenda items. Paul, I will say, as part of my housekeeping, talking to the council, I will say publicly, public comment, I'm going to be a little stricter on public comment. If there's something that I feel warrants a response right now, I'll direct the council person to answer it. But otherwise, we'll follow up after the meeting. This purpose is for us to ascertain public comment from you on issues that are important. It's not meant to be a dialogue, and this shouldn't be news. I've said this in the past 100 times. So I want to be even across the board.
I don't understand. What do you mean? I'm not supposed to talk about things?
You can talk about whatever you'd like, but it's not a dialogue back and forth, right? We're not debating.
But I'm going to ask questions,
Absolutely.
and if you choose to answer them...
You can answer any question you want. We may follow up after the meeting offline, is the point I'm trying to make. If I think it's important enough we should answer it right now, we will. But I'm going to make that decision. I just don't want to get into the back and forth, which sometimes chews away at your time to talk.
Okay. So now I start my time over
Yes,
again?
you start your time over, 5 minutes.
Okay. Paul Sunis, Plastics and PFAs, forever chemicals, are in our bodies. Under the right conditions, they cause cancer by not allowing our immune system to work to attack and eliminate the bad cells. I spoke about plastics in bottled water and the use of utensils and plastics in our foods. But now I read on Wednesday, October 8th, in the record that there are forever chemicals in our regular drinking water. Viola water in our Haworth facility, in our drinking water, is 3.3 times over the limit set by our federal regulations. Ridgewood water is 7.7 times over the limit set by federal regulations. But the state and Ridgewood are doing something about it. They are investing $100 million to build a filtration plant in Wyckoff. What is Viola doing on our end of the on our water? I urge the mayor and council to speak and work with Viola and have Viola come to the council meeting and explain what is happening with our water at our facility. Now, I know on Beverly Road, on the 16th, they are taking out the lead pipes from homes. All those homes were built in the 1920s, and those lead pipes are being taken out right now, which is a good thing that they're doing. Now, I checked on our water fountain station at the DPAC facility. The fountain is working with a very slow flow as compared to the one that it's at the Kids Foundation playground filling station. So I'd like to find out why this is happening, because this is what happening before it didn't happen and it broke down the last time. Okay, so maybe it's going to happen again and we should be guaranteed. On the discussion, another topic of combining the Planning and Zoning Board in one board, I'm opposed to this, and for these reasons. I like to have more people involved in the town, and having one board or eliminating our zoning board today would give too much responsibility to too few persons. So I think we should leave it as it is, and I thank you on that. I attended our family day that went well, another well-done town activity. We've been having a lot of good ones lately. Now, while I was there, I observed the long extended sidewalk and the deteriorating sidewalk. It's all pitted and everything. So I'd like to know, did we pay in full for the full price for this, and when will it be corrected? I don't want it to hang on us forever. And they should fix it. And I think that council has to get on them for that. On the kitchen at the senior building, I did not see a grill to use. The grill should cover the whole stove, because we are going to make a lot of pancakes. And at the same time, also we need a preparation station and a safe step ladder. I opened the door at the west location, and it seemed we could extend the building another 15 feet to give more room for the kitchen, which I think kitchen looks kind of small with all the stuff we have in there. So I don't know about that. Maybe we'll get another grant for that. So also installing in a sliding door to the kitchen entrance seemed logical, because right now what we have is a curtain. We have just a curtain that separates the kitchen from the main area where the people sit and we have our activities. So I think it would be good to have a sliding door. And these are the things that I just wanted to touch on today. And hopefully we'll get some answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eileen Jones, Oradell resident. I just wanted to second Paul on the Viola, the water quality situation. I would like to have someone on the council address Viola and see if they'll come in and talk to the residents about it, or at least give information to our mayor or whoever calls from our council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ori Katzin. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. First of all, not a dialogue back and forth, but I'm going to comment on Paul's concern with the water. My suggestion to you, just get a bottled water, and not the disposable bottles, the 5-gallon, which are BHP free, okay? It's going to cost you a little bit more, but don't drink the tap water. It's the same like I buy organic food and it costs more. You want your health. In this day and age, you obviously have to spend the money to get that. But more concerning than that is the sugar issue, which I'm going to talk about next time, which is just before Halloween. And I made a comment about this in the last meeting. I would like to open today by giving a lot of credits to the perfect organization and all the activities that happen on Family Day and the Oradell 5K. Obviously, the fire department did an excellent job organizing it. As far as Family Day, with the activities, with the helicopter coming in, bringing my granddaughter and my future one in the with my in-laws and the whole big family were there, and they all enjoyed. And it's really nice to see the town coming together, and the Family Day is all about the town and about the town people. I'm glad we did not do anything this year for Hesley Rivera, even though she won her own gold medal 2 months ago at the U.S. tournament. This was about the Oradell people, and I really like to meet many residents and greet them and have a beautiful weather. Thank you, Mayor, for arranging it on that day. You ordered the perfect weather for this year and last year too. So credit to you. I would like to basically talk about an event that's going to happen in 3 weeks. That's the election. And I would like to basically make a comment to the people of Oradell that this council, I know we are voting in a two-party system, Republican, Democrats, but this, you guys should, residents, please elect the people that have the intention of helping this town, and not listening and moving by political directions, and not sticking or not being a rubber stampers for everything that the party dictates. It is important because what the town needs is people that have the intention of making goods for the town. And just the last session, which the modern technology, I was outside answering some emails and listening to the last segment with the two witnesses here. And the only two council members who actually made comments about that were the two newly elected or re-elected council people. So thank you, Tom, for being very involved, and Roger, thank you so much. That shows me as a resident that you're really concerned, and you asking the question and you getting involved. And these are the people we should elect for council. And I know that I've been pushing the street sign, honorary street sign resolution, ordinance for quite some times, and no one took care of this. So I'm going to vote for whichever is going to tell me that they're going to help me push that ordinance. And I think those of you who are vocal, because we, the town residents, I know my time is over, we, the town residents, are very much concerned, but we don't know what you are talking behind closed doors. We only can watch the video and see who's getting involved in here and in what issues. So I appreciate those who are getting involved and those who are contributing to this town. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment on non-agenda items only? Not, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to open for public comment on consent agenda items only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I thought you were going to vote. Okay, Paul Atsunis. I only have a question here, and that's the one on the resolution 224 about, what did I do with my glasses? On my head or what?
Document imaging.
So, Paul, while you're looking, I didn't do it because we didn't get to the council's discussion part, but I'm asking that this be tabled tonight because I've asked the administrator to discuss with the county clerk the potential of a shared service to use a similar platform and whether or not we can identify cost savings to do that.
Okay, I was wondering about the cost too. Thank you.
Anyone else for consent agenda items only?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next on the item is the consent agenda. Does any member of the council have any questions or wish to pull a resolution for separate vote? I'll just restate, I would ask that 224 be pulled and tabled to the next meeting to allow the administrator to have discussions with the county clerk's office to see if there is an opportunity to take advantage of economy of scale in this task.
Mr. Mayor, I got a quick just protocol question.
Yes.
Being that we've already sworn him in,
Yep, that should have been up with the swearing in. We should have voted on that ordinance, I'm sorry, that resolution earlier, but.
not a problem. I just kind of asked 'cause
Yep.
it's kind of weird we swore him in and.
And Mayor, 222, unless it's a typo, when I read the resolution, it references Riverdale Board of Education in the title.
There's a new one that's been corrected.
Is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So for 25224, what's the expectation that the $25,000 could be reduced to? Because that seems like a pretty reasonable fee for the amount of work that they're going to do, but...
No clue. Haven't had the conversation with them yet.
Okay. So can we have that conversation before our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pull it to get rid of it. I just tabled it to the next meeting.
Yeah. But let's, because we do have to get working on that project, so.
And in a nutshell, that is to take all the files, put them online, digital, just to...
Digitizing our files, yeah.
All of our, okay. Good.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 25-217 through 25-223.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, so 224 will be tabled the next meeting. The administrator will have a report to us prior. Before we do get to adjournment, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into closed session. Mr. Bailey will give an explanation for
Yeah,
that.
if I may, Mayor, it's relating to a time-sensitive matter regarding a contract negotiation, which is permitted to be in closed session pursuant to subsection 7 of the Open Public Meetings Act. And that discussion can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided it does not constitute an undue invasion of privacy or violate the attorney-client privilege. And the while we're going to be discussing it, we're not looking to take any formal action tonight on that issue.
So we won't be returning back to public.
We just to adjourn.
Will to adjourn.
Not to.
Making sure so the public knows.
Right.
And
Well,
this-
welcome to stay, but it's just going to be a motion to adjourn.
It's a very brief closed session.
Motion to go to public closed session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tastian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.